Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 158 of the Falcoholic Live. I'm your host, Kevin Knight at Falcoholic. Kevin on the Twitters, joined by a wonderful trio of co-hosts this evening, and of course our guest of honor who will be joining us at some point tonight, so don't you worry about that, folks. But to start things off, we've got with us, as you can see, we have Eric Robinson. He is at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. Is that like a special background behind you now, or is that just your wall?
It's an ESPN background.
Just a wall. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's like really good. You got the whole thing blurred out. That was very fancy. But yeah, no, I like it.
No, it's blurred. It's blurred. It's just
okay. It's just a wall. Okay. It's just a fancy blurred wall.
It's
Really class. That's what I was saying. I just got my room behind me, but because it's blurred, it makes it look, way fancier. That's just, I don't know why, but
one of these days he's going to sneak into the NFL live desk and be sitting there.
Yeah. Just, have just guys walking around behind him, just like former, players and the analysts like, oh, Eric, I need you to go.
Hey, Adam Schefter, what's up?
Oh, hey, Adam. Hey, no, Adam, I can't talk to you right now. Sorry, I got it. No, but we appreciate you coming on. Yeah. Sorry. I got to do Falcoholic Live. It's a little more important, but but thank you for joining us, Eric. We appreciate that, man. Also with us, as you can see, Adnan, she is at Say Which Way. Adnan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, and I'm not gonna lie, it's just as hard to get Eric on here as it is Matt Bryant because big time ESPN guys. So
big time.
I'm here like every week, guys.
it shows that we're doing such a good job then.
Yeah, don't fight the bit, okay? Don't fight the bit. Yeah. Adnan's bit is that he hates Matt Ryan. Your bit is that, you're big timing us. Neither of them are true, but that doesn't stop us from saying it every week. Yeah. And then finally, we have Director of Guest Personnel, the man responsible for our guest appearance tonight. He is Evan Birchfield at the very easy to remember at Evan Birchfield. Evan, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Kevin.
Very excited, as I can see from your choice of attire.
Yeah, got the Matt Bryant jersey on, just in
yes,
case.
Excellent. Well, we had to have someone representing with the Matt Bryant jersey, so I'm glad Evan obliged us with that. But yeah, guys, we got a jam-packed show tonight. Obviously, we got to talk about week 2, which was, equal parts exciting and infuriating, which is pretty typical Falcons, honestly. Then we have a much more, I guess you could say, winnable game to talk about in terms of previewing this week's game against the Giants. Much less daunting opponent, at least in theory, than the Bucs. And as we said at the rip, we will have Matt Bryant joining us whenever he's available. So we'll work that in kind of as we go. Patrons, if you have questions, you can submit those via patron message on Patreon. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can. Otherwise, folks, we'll try to get to some in the chat. I can't guarantee that. I know a lot of people, if you tip or donate, obviously, we're going to read those. So we'll try to get to as many as we can. We don't know how long he's going to be here, but obviously, if you're a patron, you can submit it there, or you can donate if you really have a burning question for Bryant as well. We definitely appreciate all your support, guys, and I do want to shout out Matthew, who just joined us on Patreon at the supporter tier. Matthew, thank you so much for your support, man. I haven't had time to add you to the graphic yet, but I will. So let's get started with Sunday's game, which was a pretty surprisingly, I guess you could say, competitive effort up until the very end when we had the 2 pick sixes, one of which was definitely not Matt Ryan's fault. The second of which, the other one you could say maybe was a little bit 50-50, but that made the score look a lot more lopsided than it was. But the truth was the Falcons were within 2 points of the Bucs at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So that was obviously nice to see that they were able to sort of hang for a little while with the reigning Super Bowl champions to kind of get back into the game after being down big. Definitely an improvement over last week where they sort of, blew their first 2 drives and then kind of floundered around aimlessly for the rest of the game. So I appreciated that it was better than that. I know people's thoughts are kind of all over the place on this one. So, Adnan, I'll let you get the first crack at this. How do you feel about this game? Are you encouraged that they weren't as bad as last week? Are you giving them any credit whatsoever for their more competitiveness? Or are you still sort of expecting more?
No, I was definitely encouraged. Going into the season, I didn't mark down week 2 in Tampa Bay as a victory. I don't think even the most optimistic of Falcons fans did. And the game played out almost exactly like I expected it to. I said on my bold prediction last week that it would be a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and it was going into the fourth quarter. It was a 3-point game. The Falcons even had the ball at one point. The score did look a lot more lopsided than it was. It reminds me a lot of that Week 17 game last year, where the Falcons were down by 3 with less than 4 minutes left, and they ended up losing by 17 because the Bucs tacked on a couple of late scores. The team looked a lot better than they did in Week 1, and that's mostly what I was going for and what I was looking for. I didn't expect them to make it out of Tampa with a 1-1 record. 0-2 losing this game to Tampa, that just compounds that loss against Philadelphia even more, because now there's absolutely no room for error moving forward against the Giants. You cannot come out of New York at 0-3, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It was very encouraging that, they looked a lot better. And if they looked like they did against Philadelphia, that's when there would be a lot more questions and a lot more criticism of this team. But, overall, and I wrote it in our round table afterwards, this team is going to make you mad a lot, like it has over the past few years. It's going to lose some games that it has no business losing, and it will piss off the fan base. You should not be pissed off about losing in Tampa Bay. Like that's one of the more reasonable losses. Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking at a glass half full. I'm definitely encouraged. My tone will be completely different if we're sitting here still winless a week from today, however.
Yeah, and I know awkward stretch, interesting, very, very pertinent name here. Pointed out that the Falcons did allow 80 points in 2 games, which is a franchise record in the bad way, which did break last year's record of 78. The defense is not as bad as last year's.
In fairness, 14 of those were from pick sixes.
Yeah,
and another 7 were from an interception, which gave Tampa the ball inside the 10.
Yeah.
So I can't really blame the defense completely for that.
They allowed it, so it's like we're not saying that they didn't allow it, but this defense is not as bad as last year's defense. They are better by a lot of statistics. And if you check out my stats preview tomorrow, good plug here by me, you'll see that yes, they are last in the league in points allowed, with 40 points per game allowed, but their other defensive statistics are nowhere near as bad as that number, and that's because 14 of those points are from pick sixes, and like Evan said, there was another turnover, inside the 10, and then they haven't allowed nearly as much yardage as they have points.
It's and just the bad punting.
Yeah, the bad punting.
Yeah, I was going to say Mello in the chat also mentioned it, the punting and giving the opponent amazing field positioning over and over again isn't helping either.
No, it's not. So the defense isn't as bad as last year's, despite the fact that they've allowed more points. If you take off the 14 for pick sixes, they've allowed, only 33 points per game, which is, still bad, but it's not as bad as 40. Like 40 is obviously last in the league. 33 would have put them at like 28. So, they're probably closer to 28 than they are 32, but, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I know Ray Moon had a tip here. We'll save. I know it's a question for Matt Bryant, so we'll save that, Ray, for when.
Oh my God, Ray Moon is just choosing violence.
Yeah, he's choosing violence. We'll see. We'll throw Matt some softballs before we throw that one in there. We'll see how he responds to those, Ray. But I will try to at least touch on some of the things you answered, even if I may not ask it as directly. That's my promise. That's my promise. I can't guarantee I'll be like that straight up, but I appreciate you, floating that out there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how I feel. Yeah. But yes, I do appreciate that, Raymond, with the $3, and I will read as much of it as I feel. We'll see how the room feels, at that time. And then we got $1 from Guy Fieri, aka Solaire. So he says, "So Adnan, I saw you on Twitter being very optimistic about the Falcons going on a run. You said 6 wins in a row. Why not run the table?"
I did not say 6 wins in a row. I said I could see it. I did not. Do not put words in my mouth. I did not guarantee 6 wins in a row. I just said it could happen.
You heard it here first, folks. Adnan Ikic guarantees 6 wins in a row. Take that to your better of choice. Cash it out. No, he also says, in all seriousness, if the team loses to the Giants, we're gonna need a taste of those delicious draft takes. Yeah, I think if they lose to the Giants, we'll get at least one draft take going next week. But
yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that this fan base can take another lost season before November, because that's what happened the last 2 years essentially. This team definitely it feels like a must win. Like if there was ever a must win in September, like this is it. Like just
right.
From a psychological standpoint, if nothing else, because of course you don't want to go down 0-3, but especially this team after starting out 0-5 last year, 1-7 the year before that. Like when's the last time this team was in a game in November that actually mattered?
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's been a while. I for one would enjoy that. Actually having a game to watch that mattered at that point in the season. But we've got a long way to go. Hopefully we could get a little bit. There is an opportunity for a turnaround here, and we'll definitely touch on that as we get towards our Giants preview. But there is an opportunity here for some wins. Much easier than this game against the Bucs, at least in theory. Let's get now to Evan. Evan, how are you feeling about the team after still a loss, but maybe a more encouraging loss? How do you feel at this point?
I mean, I guess I don't know. I didn't come away feeling much better than the Eagles game. I mean, obviously the team played better, I guess, against a much better team, considering they just won the Super Bowl. But I mean, for like 5 minutes, it was nice where it was 28-25, knowing they got that close. And then it reminded me of that meme where it's like somebody sitting back playing a game and then they sit up, and it's like the Bucs defense just kind of took over, and the rest was history. And, if there's a lot to take from the game, I guess you could say Ridley looked better. Kyle Pitts' usage looked better, although I want to see it keep going up.
Yeah, he was the leading receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, Cordero Patterson is kind of like a gem, which is funny considering how many other teams he's been on. And he's not like a young, running back / receiver either. But just, I mean, he really is like an X factor on this offense. Mm-hmm. Like he's doing, I mean, that one where he caught the ball, it's like it and scored. It wasn't like an easy reception. Mm-hmm. But I think they like having him involved in offense. And if you didn't read it already, Adnan did like a fantasy article and mentioned him. And if he's available, I mean, go get him. He's producing more than Mike Davis fantasy-wise, that's for sure.
Yeah, and in some leagues he's able to be played as a running back or receiver.
Right.
So that's also pretty nice to have the flexibility there. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Patterson has been the biggest surprise, I would say, so far, and a great one. And it's kind of funny. It's like, why it shouldn't have been this hard for people to figure out how to use a guy who's clearly one of the best open field runners in the NFL, like how to use him correctly. And it seems like it was really just sort of teaching him the ins and outs of running back, like actually giving him reps there consistently, because he did get some work there with the Patriots. He was more of a wide receiver with them a few years ago, but still got some run there. And then he went to the Bears the last 2 years where they ramped up his carries every year, and his efficiency was not good, but they did give him, 50-plus carries last year. So, you think that maybe he finally got a chance to get used to carrying the ball, to seeing the backfield and going through traffic and stuff like that. And now maybe the light has sort of turned on for him. And you could kind of see maybe that this is what the team was hoping for, because other than Matt Gono's second-round tender, Cordero Patterson was the biggest free agent the Falcons brought in. So, we know how little money they had. So prioritizing a guy like Patterson, I think we were like, oh, that's kind of a weird move if it's just for a kick returner in today's NFL. Clearly, it was not just for that. It was for his ability as a running back, which has been better than any of us have sort of expected to this point.
Yeah, and the one thing is, like, in week one, when he was running the ball, it was, it wasn't like trickery plays. Like he was running normal run plays and looking good. Last week against the Buccaneers, he struggled more. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think he averaged like 1 yard a carry or something. Where Mike Davis actually did like 4 or somewhere around like 4.1 or something yards per carry. So he did a little better. And that's an extremely tough defensive front. They both were.
Arguably the hardest,
And the Giants are going to be tough because Leonard Williams, I think, is on there, and he's
Dexter
you know,
Lawrence,
no
Leonard Williams.
pushover or anything.
Yeah, that interior is
so,
tough. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of like that they have this. I don't know, like they're totally different players, Mike Davis and Cordero Patterson, but they're bringing like their, I guess, expertise to the table. Where like, you know, is Gallman going to be active? That's, you know, I wonder if they're going to activate him eventually, and then how, you know, he'll fit into these, you know, with these two, because they've really only needed 2 running backs the way they've been using them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of risky, right? Because like if one goes down, then it's like, okay, we have one running back. You know, it's running back is one of the most injury prone positions in the league, so that's definitely been interesting. But yeah, something to point out: the Giants' run defense is 21st in the league right now, allowing 126 yards per game and over exactly 5 yards per carry, which is among the worst. So this could be a potential big game opportunity for the Falcons running backs. Obviously, we'll get to that more when we get to our Giants preview, but something to keep in mind as we go forward. Yeah, I mean, I guess the other big topic would be that the offensive line wasn't as big of a disaster this week. And, you know, Nico pointed out in the chat, McGarry ended up getting a high PFF score, like almost a 70, which I thought was very bizarre because I think he was responsible for at least one of those picks, maybe. And you know, several bad, very, very bad pass pro reps. And they
From
buried,
what I saw, I think it was his run blocking that really bumped his number up.
Yeah, and like I think he's always been a pretty good run blocker, so that definitely helps him. But in pass protection, the whole line struggled, certainly. I mean, against arguably the best pass rush in the NFL, if not, you know, one of the best pass rushes. And that's not surprising. But Mayfield, I think, was better. Still nowhere near good, but better. Hennessy, better. Still nowhere near good. Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom, still, you know, solid at worst. So offensive line was better. Eric, I'll let you get a word in here. What did you think about the offensive line's improvement from week 1 to week 2?
I definitely saw some improvement, definitely from Mayfield. We still have to keep in mind that not only is Mayfield a rookie, but Mayfield is what, 20, I want to say?
He's very young. I know that. He's extremely young.
Very young, right. So, you know, it's not like he played at Michigan for 4 years and he's a rookie. Like, he only played a couple of years. He's still, I don't even think he's, you know, legal. He's old enough to drink at this point. But, you know, I saw some improvement this week, especially on the offensive line, especially from him. There's still some things that need to be worked out, of course. You know, the pass protection for Matt was better. Statistically, it was better this week because he only got sacked once. Mm-hmm. But it still felt Matt was never really comfortable.
Right.
And I tweeted out a stat earlier this week about that. He had 46 pass attempts, but 19 of them he had less than 2 seconds to throw. Mm-hmm. I think that's like 40% of his passes. That's
bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he never really had time to get comfortable. So they still need to iron some things out, and some of that may come with better play calling down the line compared to them improving their technique and just getting better as the season goes along. You know, I think if Arthur Smith does that particular component and gets better as a play caller, we may see less and less of Matt on his ass. But it was definitely an encouraging sign. And this was a much better test as far as defensive lines go from Philly in week 1 to Tampa. Like this is an elite defensive line. That's an elite defense as a whole. And Matt was only sacked once. So that is definitely encouraging.
Yeah. And, you know, the time to throw is still an issue. I still think the training wheels are on the playbook. You know, I know we don't necessarily know that, but from what they were calling, how limited things looked, I still think the training wheels are on, and that's obviously not great considering it's week 2. I mean, you would hope that you don't have to run a truncated version of your playbook at that point, but you know, they were able. The offense was at least functional this week, which is a far cry from last week, and that I think is a big improvement. And the fact that, you know, we talked about Cordell Patterson, but they were able to get push against, you know, not a great rushing output overall, but enough to get a rushing score and to get some movement there when they needed it. You know, the Matt Ryan QB sneak, you know, notwithstanding. He did get revenge on that 2-point conversion at least, but that's encouraging, I think, for the run blocking potential of this line, that they were able to actually get a little bit of push there against that elite unit. Adnan, how are you feeling about this offensive line after seeing it in action against the Bucs?
Still not good.
That's
I mean,
fair.
no, it's like, sure, they were better in week 2, but I mean, they couldn't have possibly been worse. Like, week 1 was just like an absolute abject disaster. Jalen Mayfield, he went from a 1.4 pass blocking grade to a 31.8, which that's improvement, like 100%.
That's improvement right there. That's that's a 300%.
30 times, yeah.
30 times better.
Higher.
Yeah.
I don't think any other offensive lineman in the league had a 30 times higher, like, grade.
Legendary improvement. Yeah.
However, that grade sucks. Like, that's still absolutely
really
terrible.
bad. Yeah,
like
it's Josh Andrews.
Really, really bad.
He's going to have the greatest pass blocking grade.
Next week he's going to have like a 3,000 by that trend line.
That's what they're telling me, right? Like, that pass grade is just going to.
Hey, if we're looking at the trends, like that's exactly what I'm saying.
It's going to change their metrics over there at PFF.
Matt Hennessy, his grade was encouragingly a lot higher in game 2 as opposed to game. He had his pass blocking grade was a 65.6, and I know, like, you can't just take PFF as gospel.
Right.
It's just a baseline, a reference point, just because there's really nothing else that provides these kinds of like statistics for offensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at like pressures given up and stuff like that, but even that doesn't really tell the full story. So
their metrics is based off of their own particular research. Like, it's not even.
Yeah. It's not the only thing that matters, certainly. Which is
so
why I think, we sort of disagree with Caleb McGarry's grade, thinking it's kind of high. So, it's not perfect, but it's just something to reference, and that's what we're doing. So
definitely take it with a grain of salt, but it's definitely a really good thing to reference when we are trying to break down and analyze the offensive line, because at the end of the day, we all watch the game. We can all make our own opinions about it.
Yeah.
Which, that brings me to my next point, which Kevin already mentioned. Caleb McGarry, like, he looked a lot worse than his 69.9 overall grade. Like, he was getting beaten off the edge. He thus far has not really shown me 2 games in that, he possibly is the right tackle of the future right now. Now, I could be wrong if he turns a corner, and I hope he turns a corner starting with this Giants game and moving forward, and that he just has the absolute breakout season that this team really, really needs him to have. Because I think Hennessy and Mayfield, for the most part, will be average to below average for the entirety of the season. And if not Mayfield, then Josh Andrews. And I've kept harping on it. I've kept saying it. Caleb McGarry is that wild card, because you really need more offensive linemen to be solid to good than not. You can't have more than half of your offensive linemen be below average starters, because then it doesn't matter how good your offense and your skill position players are, because the quarterback just won't have any time to pass. And the run blocking is fine.
Yeah, that's nice. But
that's nice. I remember a few years ago doing an offensive line review, and it was our guy Ben Garland a few years ago. He had a top 3 run blocking grade in the NFL among all guards. Top 3 among everyone. And he got cut at the end of that season.
Yes,
because his pass blocking grade was outside of the top 100.
Yeah.
If this was the 1980s, the 70s, back during the days of true ground and pound offense, then you can get away with being a really good run blocker and a not so good pass blocker. But in today's NFL, it's all about the pass. It's all about the pass. It's all about the pass rushers, and it's all about how well you can protect your quarterback. And if you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to be long for the NFL.
Well, man, he's going to get a dose of your boy this weekend, Azeez Ojulari.
Oh man, okay.
Azeez has a couple sacks so far.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody knows, if you watch Caleb enough, his kryptonite is athletic defensive ends that can, that can cause him to, utilize some type of footwork somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have taken him fourth.
Which he does not. Yeah. So I mean, I don't feel. I'll be quite honest with you. I don't. From that particular aspect alone, I don't feel that confident this weekend because of that.
I mean, maybe he surprises us, but yeah, maybe we should have taken Aziz with the 4th overall pick.
Whoa, let's calm down here. Okay,
I'm kidding.
There he goes.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, we're getting this just now, by the way, and this should be more for the Giants preview, but we're talking about the Giants here. Giants guard Shane Lemieux, today, Lemieux. Yeah, he had surgery today and will be out for the season. So another offensive line injury now for the Giants.
Yeah, that's
both guards now? That's both starting guards.
Yeah, that's the guard who went down on Thursday night. So that's really scary injury, right? Yeah. I mean, that was in the moment, like you knew that his season was probably over.
Yeah. So now they've lost Nick Gates at one guard spot and Lemieux or whatever his name is at the other spot. So both of their guards will now be out.
Yeah, Lemieux transferred over because of the necessity for guards. I think he was their center, and he switched over to guard because they didn't have enough depth at the position. So
they traded for Billy Price, right?
Yeah, was that the Giants? It might have been the Giants. I think you're right. Yeah,
they traded for Billy Price. So
yeah, he's on the Giants.
Yeah, I think he's occupying the center spot that I'm talking about.
That. Yeah, he is, and he hasn't been very good so far, but it's still very early in the season. But I mean, this is the flip side of the coin. Now the Falcons are on the other end of a team having struggles on the interior of the offensive line. Now you're looking at maybe Grady Jarrett can kind of take advantage of that, and maybe he can move the needle a little bit in the Falcons' favor, the way we saw Fletcher Cox move the needle for the Eagles a couple of weeks ago, and.
How many times have you seen this story, though? How many times have you seen this story, though?
Well, it's like we haven't seen it with Dean Pease yet, so let's hope. Fairness, right? Let's hope because they've gone up against two really good offensive lines thus far.
They have.
That I'm willing to give them a chance against a bad offensive line, but it's worth mentioning even with their starting guards, who they've now lost. The Giants were 25th in the league in sack percentage allowed. They allow a sack on 8% of dropbacks, and that's probably not getting any better now without their guards. So
I also need to check how often Daniel Jones has been blitzed so far this season.
That's a good point.
We're gonna need to put a spy on Daniel Jones this week.
Probably.
Because he was looking to run over, like he was outright hunting the rush last game.
Yeah. And I think he is certainly mobile. I think he's a little bit easier to contain than Jalen Hurts.
He's not Jalen Hurts. He's definitely not Jalen Hurts.
But I felt like some of the fans were approaching this game as if, it's Daniel Jones, and I'm saying to myself like, the decision making Daniel Jones is still a question mark, but when there's times that he needs to escape the pocket and he needs to run and pick up the first down, he's able to do it. He's not going to be like Tom Brady where he's just standing there in the pocket.
Yeah, that's definitely one of his better qualities. Yeah. It's one of his better traits. And the thing is, like, you're not expecting it, out of Daniel Jones. You should be, but you're not going into a game and you're not treating Daniel Jones like you are Lamar Jackson or a Jalen Hurts, for example, or a Kyler Murray, where he's not that quick, he's not that agile, but he can still. He's a fast dude. Like
he's fast. Touchdown that got called back against Washington. I know it was he got called back, but look how he literally raced down the sideline for 60 plus yards for a potential touchdown that they needed. Like this guy has more athleticism than
you remember when he tripped last year, and of course like that's the funny part. That was a 90-yard touchdown, nonetheless. If he doesn't trip,
he still got like 55 yards down the field before he tripped. Like he was still well in front of the defenders, man.
I mean, he is athletic. He's definitely worth monitoring. I guess with regards to this Bucs game, you should probably touch on the defense a little bit. Obviously, AJ Terrell goes down late. We're going to be waiting, to hear about his status for Sunday.
I wouldn't expect him to play.
I wouldn't expect him to play. It usually takes at least a week to come back from a concussion.
It's Wednesday. He hasn't practiced. He's essentially he has one more day to show himself on the practice.
And yeah, he can technically practice even before passing protocol, but it takes a few days. Like he's not going to pass protocol until at least Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. So if he logs the practice on Friday, that's encouraging. Even if it's limited.
If he doesn't log on tomorrow, then I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. If he's not limited tomorrow, then it's probably not going to happen. If he can get limited on Friday, there's a chance, but we'll see.
We'll see. Ideally, you want to see him be limited tomorrow and then full go on Friday. And then if that's the case, then he'll probably suit up and play. But if he's not on the field at all tomorrow, I wouldn't hold it.
It's gonna be
because a concussion isn't a typical injury. A concussion is either you have it or you don't. Either you pass protocol or you don't. Right. So it's not like a hamstring injury where you're monitoring it through the days and how it's feeling. Like this day, it's like maybe it'll feel better. It's if he isn't through the 5-step process that the NFL has implemented by I think Saturday, he'll be ruled out. There's not going to be a chance for him to play.
He can just be experiencing a series of headaches.
Right.
That's keeping him off the practice field. Like it's something as small as that. It's a lot that has to go into it. So if he's not, like I said, if he's not on the practice field tomorrow, I wouldn't be.
And typically it takes more than a week to come back from a concussion.
Typically, right. It does.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, how did you guys? Yeah. I mean, I'll Evan. I'll let you get it. I know. Well, Evan's busy, so we'll give Evan a second here. Evan's working the magic behind the scenes here, so I'll go to you on this one. But yeah, I mean, how did you feel about the play of the defense as a whole against Tampa Bay? I mean, I guess I thought it was about as well as we could have expected, considering the fact that they're maybe the best offense in the NFL.
I mean, yeah, it's if you look at the numbers, Tom Brady threw for 5 touchdowns, which is never good. But, you can't just look at it black and white, just pure statistics. Like this isn't just straight up fantasy football. You have to take into account the terrible punts, which gave Brady that amazing field positioning over and over again. You have to take into account the interception that gave the Bucs the ball inside the 10-yard line. They had 2 pick sixes, which inflated the score. That's not on the defense at all. Neither is that third interception that gave them the ball so close to the goal line. I mean, the defense, it's not great. Nobody was expecting the defense to go out there and hold Tom Brady and this Bucs offense, this prolific Bucs offense, to 20 points. The defense was, all things considered, fine. Like, I don't grade the defense and the offense on the same scale, just because of how much has been invested into this offense via draft picks, via the salary cap. It definitely tilts more toward the offense. You brought in the offensive-minded head coach. I am definitely much, much quicker to scrutinize the offense for their shortcomings and disappointments in the defense, just because the defense, I wasn't really expecting this unit to be anything better than a bottom 10 unit this season, just because of how bad the talent is.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we're just sort of hoping for them to get a few key stops here and there to keep it close. And I think honestly, based on what we've seen out of Dean Pease defense so far, it's been hard to evaluate everything fairly because of all of the offensive issues. But I think we're seeing that Dean Pease is probably going to get this defense at least to the level where we can make a couple stops, even against a good offense. They can get some things done. They're going to be able to get some sacks and things like that from blitzing. I think the defense is going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be great. Certainly against playoff teams and that sort of thing, it's going to be like the Falcons are going to have to win shootouts. That's what they were going to have to do against the Bucs. And to be fair, I mean, I thought the defense played their asses off in the third quarter. I mean, the Falcons went down 25, to very little. And the defense had to go out there and make stop after stop to get everything going. And I think that they pretty much did. They gave the offense so many opportunities to get back in the game.
And they got that huge stop in the fourth quarter too, when the team was down by 3, and when they really needed that stop for momentum. In fairness, yes, Gronk had the holding call, but you have to take advantage of that. How many times have we seen first and long, second and long turn into a conversion under Dan Quinn over the years? And, in fairness to the Bucs, their punter had a hell of a punt to just pin the Falcons deep. The Falcons end up punting it away, and then, that was pretty much all she wrote after that.
Yeah.
But the defense also had that big stop in the first quarter where Dante Fowler had the strip sack. Recovered by Michael Walker, and that was, Dante Fowler showed some life in this game. He was one of the better players on the defensive unit, and maybe possibly this could be a turning point for him moving forward. That would be really nice to see. But yeah, definitely I'm not going to blame the defense for this loss, not by any means.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very fair. Yeah, I mean, anybody else? Eric, I guess I'll let you get a crack at it too. What were your sort of thoughts on how the defense played in this one?
I'm definitely not expecting a juggernaut unit at all this year because, like we've stated before, they're lacking talent. They're lacking overall talent on the defensive side of the ball that can make this scheme what it actually could be. But the one thing I want to see from this defense, and we haven't seen it yet, they don't have the talent, but the turnovers, the takeaways, you don't have to be a truly talented unit to force takeaways, because sometimes the ball may just roll your way. They had two opportunities at turnovers in the third quarter, and they didn't take advantage of it. Now, granted, they held the Bucs scoreless in the third quarter, but imagine the swing of momentum that can happen when you pick off a Brady in the red zone. Imagine the momentum swing that can happen after you score a touchdown from Cordero, and then the very first play you force a fumble from Leonard Fournette, and you're already deep in their territory. Those are the type of plays I want to see them make. I don't expect this to be the 85 Bears. They're not going to shut it.
No.
They're not going to limit any teams when it comes to scoring. They're probably going to give up some points. But I just want to see this unit take advantage of those opportunities when it's presented. And that's been a problem regardless who's the defensive coordinator. It's been a problem for a long time.
They just have like that Fabian Moreau pick. That should have been a pick. It really should have been.
It gave up a touchdown.
Yeah.
And again, they already had the momentum after the Patterson touchdown. Then you come back in the very first play, Foyer does a peanut punch, and then boom, they recover. They recovered the fumble. They have everything rolling at that point.
Yep.
They're already down in the 30-yard line. They're already deep in Bucs territory. The momentum is theirs. We need to see them make that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I agree with you. And guys, we are working. Matt Bryant is available. He's having some technical difficulties. We're working on that right now, just so you guys know. So we're trying to get that sorted out behind the scenes here while we continue to talk about this. So I appreciate your guys' patience. But yes, Bryant is here. We are working on that. So this is a good time. Good time also for me to plug, all the other stuff. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we're putting out. Those metrics really help us out. Thank you guys. If you haven't checked out our Patreon page yet, give that a look. The link to that is patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. Lots of exclusive content on there. We've got some stuff working behind the scenes. We're trying to get some cool things set up there. Possibly some film reviews, some breakdowns that we can have patrons, sort of contribute to. We're going to be doing more sort of interactive stuff for patrons, like you guys can pick the topic of my next video and that sort of thing. So if you want to have more input on what we do on the show, what sort of stuff we cover, give that a look. And we definitely appreciate everyone who's contributing there. I think there's 20 of you guys now. It's crazy. We just really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. So let's continue talking about the defense. Let's see, what have we not covered yet? Getting all discombobulated here. Evan's doing yeoman's work behind the scenes, so I'm not going to call on Evan. But I mean, to me, I think there were a lot of encouraging signs. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. As far as the encouragement that you took from this game, what is one thing you took from this game that says, all right, they can build on that, and that can lead to winning football games at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I think the coverage was okay. I think their zone is still pretty weak, but I think in man they were actually pretty solid. And then I think the pass rush, it will be serviceable if they can blitz without getting annihilated. And that's the problem with quarterbacks like Tom Brady, and really mobile guys like Jalen Hurts. They can evade the blitz, or they're just too sort of cerebral. They see the blitz coming and they pick it apart too easily. But the Falcons have a really soft quarterback schedule coming up, other than we got through Jalen Hurts, who had a really good game to his credit. He ran when he needed to. He got the ball out on time. So props to him for sure. Then obviously Tom Brady, who's just really great at beating the blitz. It's just always sort of been his thing. And that's why I think we saw that Pease only blitzed like 6 times in the whole game or something like that, which is very low for him. But we're going up against guys in the future where I think the blitz will be better. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about the pass rush as a whole? Obviously, the edge pressure isn't great, although Dante Fowler did get the strip sack, which that wasn't on my bingo card. But Adnan, I'll let you get a crack at it. How do you feel about the pass rush going forward? Do you think it can be, I don't know, maybe okay if they're able to blitz?
God, I hope so. I'd still like to see the pass rush was, better in the second week than it was in game 1. But yeah, I still think it's so important to be able to get that pressure with 4 guys, a little more. And, blitzing is, we talked about it. It's fine. It's going to be incorporated. It wasn't used as much against Tom Brady just because, why would it when Tom Brady is the greatest ever against the blitz? So I think Dean Pease was very strategic with it there. But I think a whole new world will be opened up if the Falcons can really start hitting on their cylinders when they are getting some pressure without having to fill that A gap with a linebacker or without having to bring a cornerback off the edge. I think that's where we'll need Dante Fowler to make some of his money. And, if he can be on his game and, Grady Jarrett can be on his game and Marlon Davidson, whom I have such high hopes for, I think he got his first sack this past game. He played a few more snaps in week 2 than he did in week 1. I expect his snaps to ramp up. And if he can be that second round pick that the Falcons chose him to be, and if he can make that impact that came with his premium draft selection, then I think the pass rush can be very, very passable, and that's a huge victory considering where we were coming into the season.
Yeah, I agree. It's at a state where we can get some level of pressure. I wouldn't say it's consistent at this point, but it is some level, and I think that has been something that was missing from Dan Quinn defenses in the past. So I was surprisingly not upset at the defense. I mean, obviously 40 plus points, that looks bad, but we know 14 of them are from pick sixes. The run defense struggled more in this one. I think against a better, hold on one second, guys. Just trying to help troubleshoot here. I think the defense was better against a much better rushing attack in general. But, they did give up some more yards on the ground. But, yeah, I mean, I think considering the talent they were going up against in the wide receiving core and at quarterback and on the offensive line, they held their own. They gave the offense a chance to win it. The offense obviously shot themselves in the foot and, just destroyed any hope we had. But the defense did enough. And who knows if that'll continue throughout the rest of the season, but I think that was, pretty encouraging.
It's going to be hard for them to really consistently get sacks this season unless they blitz. They got 3 this past game, but they only blitzed Brady 4 times, which is weird.
Yeah.
And he threw for 2 touchdowns off those blitz. Again, the talent level, man. I get it. They want to depend on Dante Fowler. They want to, they pretty much redid his entire deal for the most part and made him earn his money. But this past game was just another game for me to look at it and say, man, they need some horses at edge rusher, man.
Yeah, they really do. It's pretty stark how much they need edge help at this point. So they just
they're needing Ogundeji to grow up so fast.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's played about as well as you could hope for like a fifth rounder. Like he's been like going in and playing reps and like not been bad. Like, and I think for a rookie fifth rounder, that's pretty good. So
fans are like, yeah, man, I can't wait to see him grow up this year and become that pass rusher. I'm thinking like we're really at a point where we're depending on the fifth round.
We're depending on our fifth rounder to make it happen. Oh man,
contributions. Yeah,
that's pretty desperate. That's pretty desperate. Yeah, we got. Let me go back and catch a couple donations here. I know some of these were for Matt Bryant, so we'll leave those until he gets in here. We got Raymond with the $1. He says, "How bad is the loss of Russell Gage for us?" I guess we don't know how severe the injury is. The fact that they're sniffing around all these receivers probably tells us that they expect him to at least miss this game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, Russell Gage hasn't really been a major factor in the offense. I mean, the offense has not really been firing on all cylinders, so it's hard to say. But yeah.
Let me ask you this: could we see? All right, let's say they go this right. If Gage is not playing, could we see more Cordero at wide receiver?
Maybe if they need someone.
Right, which causes them to kind of, make Gallman active for this game.
Yeah.
That running back 2 spot.
It could be. That could be an option. I'm a big fan of John Brown. I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
John Brown being on that field, he doesn't have to catch a pass.
No.
But it's going to help the offense.
Yeah, he just terrifies people. You're just like, okay, run and go. Like, run and go every snap. Like, just go. Like,
but he's going to open up. He's going to take a couple of defenders away from Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, all you got to do is hit one deep bomb to John Brown, and then they have to respect it forever.
Or not even that.
You don't even have to. Like,
give him the ball this slide and let him break it 40 yards, and then we're like, oh shit, yeah, we're playing the deep cover 2 shell now because this guy's here. So yeah, I would definitely like that sign.
Yeah.
I definitely think with Gage, it's also a product of the system that he just won't get as many looks in Arthur Smith's new offense compared to what he was seeing last year with Dirk Cutter. Just because I think Arthur Smith's philosophy kind of devalues the wide receiver too. We saw it in Tennessee. Of course you had Derrick Henry. You had the tight ends, Ferkster and Jonnu Smith, who were utilized a lot.
I don't want to cut you off, Adnan. I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry, but we have a special guest joining us now, so want to get him in here. Sorry to cut you off. We'll come back to that. I promise. We'll come back to that.
It's completely fine.
Matt Bryant, man, of course.
Yeah. We got to make time. Matt, are you there?
Yeah.
We can hear you. So, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It sounds like it's been an adventure on your end, so I appreciate you sticking with it.
Yeah, trying. So,
There may be a button to enable video. I don't know if there's video, if it's like an iPad or something like that.
It is an iPad. I see there's Evan Adnan.
Yeah, Adnan. Yeah.
Adnan. Then there's a box for Kevin, but there's nobody in there.
Yeah. No, it's because the streaming program uses my video, so you won't see me, but that's not a problem on your end.
Okay. So can you guys see? Oh, just hear me.
We can just hear you right now. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm supposed to press something.
There's
a camera.
Yeah.
That has it. Yeah. Can you press that? That might be able to enable it if you.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think it looks like a video camera or like a camera.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
There he is. What's up, Matt? Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you working through the issues.
Oh yeah, that's what our special teams. You manage issues.
Yeah. Exactly. So, guys, it is Matt Bryant. He is on Twitter at Matt_Bryant3. Again, Matt, thank you for taking the time. I'm sure Evan's got a load of questions for you. You're like, he wore his jersey for you special. So,
oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll open the floor to you guys. I know we have some fan questions as well, but yeah, I want to give you guys an opportunity to get anything that you wanted to ask off your chest. Who knows when you'll get another chance. So,
I'll kick things off. Matt, you were part of the league for a while, very long time. You started off in 2002. I just want to know, what have you seen over the years that has led to the kicking position just evolving from when you started to where it is now? Like, what is one thing that you've noticed?
Just in general, the position.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would. I guess one thing that comes to my mind is that the guys, for whatever reason, these younger guys seem to be stronger.
Yeah.
As far as like kicking distances.
Yeah.
Compared to like younger guys, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing that comes to my mind is like, it's no big deal to watch a pregame guys kicking, 65 yards.
Yeah.
Field goals during warm-ups.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Any type of kicking strategies or habits that you've seen that's changed over time? What kickers are training methods?
Not that I know. I mean, I don't know. I kind of did my own thing for the longest time.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Kind of your own. You're your own man, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, and it took a while for me to evolve into what I was able to do because I think as I got older, I got a little bit smarter. Because now granted, I think I was like 26 years old my rookie year. I was 4 years out of Baylor. So like whenever I used to lift like with the linebackers. I did squats, bent. I mean, like I was, if you talk to a lot of my special teams coaches, they would describe me as a football player that kicked. And in my heart, I was a linebacker. Now,
Yeah.
physically, I was just a kicker. But
hey, we got to work with what we're born with, to some extent. So.
Right. Yeah. So, as I got older, I didn't lift quite as heavy. I didn't lift to the extent that I did when I was younger. And I think that probably because, whenever I was done, I think I was 44, I was still able to go out there during pre-games and hit them from 58, 60 yards. And I couldn't do that early in my career. So, at 26, 28, like I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah,
so
let's be honest.
That's the only explanation that I could probably give.
Let's be honest. You didn't really need to. Okay, we've seen it so many times. You're on the sideline, with shades and a drink, and they're like, "Hey, man, we need a game-winning kick. Can you get out there and get one for us?" Like, yeah, all right,
all right, yeah.
I will also say, Matt, you mentioned about these younger guys kicking from 65 yards. I don't think many of them have kicked from 62 in an actual game. I think that's like just 2 or 3 of you guys, you yourself included, did that in NFL history.
Yeah, those long kicks like that. It's kind of like a perfect timing type deal. When I say timing, because the games are so close. I can't remember what the percentage is. We're getting about 4 points or less. Field position is big, so even though you've got these big legs, coaches are less willing to kick a big kick like that. So usually it has to be at the end of the half or at the end of the game. I guess go back to look just this past weekend. I think Prater had a 62 at the end of the half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, a lot of guys have the physical ability to be able to do it, but it's just a matter of like at a certain point during the game, like coaches are more willing to let you do it or not.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally. All All right, so we do have, anybody else want to get a question in before we go to some fan questions?
Well, I want to ask a quick one.
Go for it.
Because in today's NFL, it seems there's a lot of turnover at, kind of that important trio of the placeholder, the kicker, and the snapper. How important, for you was it to have Josh Harris and Bosher for so long, like to have that kind of trio?
It was huge because I hate to go back and revisit my last year there, but there is, whenever you go out to the field, you work with, you've got like your snapper and your holder, yourself, you're like a little battery, so to speak. And, like it becomes a matter of trust, just kind of like a quarterback throwing to his receiver. They run routes all day long, and he's going to trust his guy to be there at a certain point. Like if he goes back 5 steps, when he puts that plant foot down to go to release the ball, he knows, for instance, like Matt, he knows Calvin is going to be at a certain point. For me, knowing that, okay, the snap's going to be there, my holder's going to hold it, and he's going to put it a certain way that, like, I know that it needs to be held to go a certain kind of way. That's huge. That's huge. And, I think that's kind of part of my, whatever it was, where I didn't have the success that I usually had. There was one time during 1 week, I think I worked with 3 different holders, and I didn't know who was going to be holding during the game. So, is it a dire situation? No, but it sure does help to know the continuity needs to be there.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. I 100% agree that I think it's an underrated aspect that people lose, and I it seems like teams these days are discounting it as well because they're just shuffling through these guys. It seems like there's these veteran long snappers that have been working with their kickers forever, and it's like, oh, well, we could save, $1 million, so we're going to go with the cheaper long snapper, but it makes a difference.
Well, oh yeah. And true story. So, and I told him about it, and obviously it worked out great. But like Josh Harris's first year, I had Joe Zelenka for 2 years. And whenever I heard that they were bringing in a young guy to camp, I told them, I want Joe back. And they brought Joe back. And but they went with Harris. But for me, it was like, I know, I know what I'm going to get with Josie. And so, I expressed how good it'd be for him to be back. Now, obviously, Josh went right in there. We didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
So, but the importance of knowing that is huge. And if that would have came up again, I for sure, hands down, would have said the same thing for Josh.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's nice to get that insight, and it's like you never know how a guy's going to turn out. Like you said, obviously Josh Harris ended up being a great addition, and you guys had a long career together. But you never know. Like you're obviously you're going to be more comfortable working with someone that you've spent time with in the past. So
yeah, because like in the preseason, I remember Josh's first snap. He skipped it back to the holder. I said, "Oh, bring Joseph back."
I don't know about this guy.
Yeah, no, but obviously Josh is, and I think, and that was one thing I tried to help Josh with, because obviously the more that I could help Josh, the more that he was going to be able to help me. And a lot of times these young guys come into the NFL thinking that their standard is a certain way, but whenever you're trying to be the best amongst the best, then your standard has to change. And Josh embraced that. So obviously he's as good as he is now, I think, because of, a little bit of push in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let me get to a fan question. This one's from Solaire, one of our patrons. He says, so for you, Bryant, he wants to know if you have a favorite game from your time as a Falcon, like your favorite, either that you kicked in or just enjoyed the most.
I mean, obviously, it just with the franchise and and with the past and everything. The game winner to beat Seattle, I think, it comes up there pretty quick. I don't remember what the history was up to that moment, but that time that we beat the Saints in New Orleans, I think that was 2010.
Yep, overtime after their kicker missed it in overtime first, I think.
And I had to kick the game winner 3 times before it finally counted. The first time they called timeout. The second time we jumped off sides, and then the third one finally counted.
Yeah.
I think that was a big game from the sense of I don't remember how many times the Falcons had lost to them there, maybe. So I guess those two games stand out the most to me.
Yeah, I agree.
As a Falcon, and that was as a Falcon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're being frozen by an opposing team, what are you telling yourself?
I'm laughing because they've just wasted their time. There was, I think Coach Payton did that to me one time. I looked at him from the middle of the field. I'm like, "What are you doing? You know better."
Come on, man.
So my approach on those my mentality was, okay, if you call a timeout, and I kick it, good kick, and I make it. Well, my mentality is, okay, just repeat that right there. If something goes wrong, then okay, all right, maybe I planted here, maybe I did this, and make the correction. So for me, as a kicker, like, it was a win-win. Now, but that was me personally.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And against Seattle, if I recall, Pete Carroll froze you, and that first kick did miss. Right. And then you made the adjustment, and it ended up biting them in the butt at the end of the day.
So the backstory on that kick, if you go back and you watch the video of it, and it happened earlier in the game. Richard Sherman was known to they would watch the holder. So the snapper snap on a signal that the holder's given. It's not a verbal. Usually it's a visual. So like I don't know, see if you see my hand. So the Bosher would hold his hand like this, and when he wanted Harris to snap, he would do this. Okay, so Sherman would jump it. So when he would see the hand start to go there, he would go. Now we knew that they were doing that from watching film, doing it to other people. So like we would do like this. We would show like a hand, and then come back on the fist. And so instead of snapping the hand, we would snap it on the fist. Or maybe throw a hand out there, 1,001, 1,002, then he would snap.
That's clever.
And so, like earlier in the game on an extra point, he actually ran by me before I hit it. So anyway, going into that kick, we went on fist.
Yeah.
Okay. I missed that kick because I went too soon. I went on the hand, so my toe off, and I screwed up the kick. It was the reason why I looked the way it went. Now, so here we go. So we come back to the huddle, and I'm like, my bad. I screwed. This conversation between me and Bosher and Harris. I was like, that was me. I went on the hand. I forgot because I was concentrating on the kick.
Yeah.
And so we said, all right, what do we want to do? We're like, all right, just do fist again. We'll do fist again. I went too soon again. And you can see, if you go back, you can look on the kick, you can see how I went too soon and I stopped and then I went again.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that remembering mistakes.
Yeah. Exactly.
So exact same situation, and I adjusted my kick from the previous mess up, and I made it.
Yeah. So it was really, you know, on them. You know, the icing doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The kicker's version of a hard count, right? Like that's basically what it was. It's trying to.
I was so zoned in on just what I had to do on the kick,
right,
that I completely forgot what I had to do before the kick.
Well, the kick is the most important part, you know.
And this is great insight, like for everyone to see what the intricacies are to kicking. It's not just just go out there and kick. There's like so much that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
You think about what we do in the kick. You know, like you're talking about 1.3 seconds. 1.4 seconds, the kick is going to get blocked. So, you know, when you think about that amount of time and what all has to happen, you know, it's not just you know, not just go out there and kick it type thing.
Exactly. It's very tight in the NFL. Like there's not a lot of room for error because teams will, you know, we don't see blocked kicks very often. So I think people sort of discount how if you're just a hair late, like that can happen. So it's legit. It's a concern. Yep. So for sure. Okay. So I think we had a question from Jason Gaines with the $3. Thank you, Jason. I think you touched on it. Yeah, it was what your favorite game-winning field goal was, and I think you said it was the game against Seattle that we were just talking about. But he also wanted to thank you for being a reliable and clutch kicker for your time in Atlanta. And then, Ray Moon with the $3. He wants to know who hits harder, you or Matt Bosher. He says his money's on you, but you know he wanted to hear your take.
Well, you can't find it, but if you could, it would have been pretty good. So going back, way back when before, I mean, the game of football has changed. You know, they used to celebrate big hits, and you know, basically guys get knocked out. It was just another thing. So there used to be top 5 hits of the week. I don't know if this is like early on in my career. So like 2002, 2003. I made top 5 hits of the week in the NFL. I hit the they used to call him the beer man for the Saints, the returner. I think he was before he got there, he worked for Budweiser or something. He used to but anyway, I hit him pretty good on the sideline. But that was a long time ago in a galaxy far away when I was much younger. So
yeah, well, I mean, everyone's seen Matt Bosher's hits, but you know, Bosher was quite a bit younger while he was here. So you know, I don't know if that was a fair comparison at that point in your respective careers. So Bosher. I mean, you know, he was a young physical guy. He got in. He didn't mind sticking his head in there and getting in the rumble. Yeah, I definitely think we all appreciated that about
him. It was
him.
Michael Lewis.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have more questions? Anybody?
I had one. So you signed with the Atlanta Falcons in the middle of the 2009 season. I want to say November. Mm-hmm. After that 2009 season, you spent another 10 years in Atlanta. Became, in my opinion, the greatest kicker in team history, most points in franchise history. When you were signing with the Falcons at that time, did you ever think that it would get to that level with Atlanta? Or was it just, you know, at the time, it's like another stop and, you know, you don't know how long you're going to be there?
So whenever I got there, I signed a 2-year deal. So, you know, like you said, that last 5 or 6 games of that 2009 year, and then going to the 2010, I didn't know, but you know, somewhere towards the end of the year, Coach Smith came to me at Team Hotel whenever they were starting to talk to my agent. He said, well, you know, we'll get it done. You're my guy. Mm-hmm. So he told me that, I figured, you know, I would be there for a while. But, you know, initially signing with them, you know, it's a crazy business. You never really know.
Even with a 2-year deal, it's just, you know, there's probably not that much guarantee at the time and all that. So it's still kind of a crapshoot, even though you have the extra year on there. But
right. Oh yeah.
And, it just shows how much things change. Jason Elam, he was the guy who was cut in 2009 as the Falcons kicker. He was a Pro Bowler in 2008. So it just shows just how small the margin of error is, especially at that position where, you have to be on your game week in and week out.
Yeah, I think he was kind of, he was pretty much towards the end of his career. I don't know if injuries played into any of that or not, or if he just. But yeah, I mean, he had a great career up until now.
Yeah. All right, we got a question from Jason Gaines. Matt, he wants to know what was it like playing under Keith Armstrong as your special teams coordinator, and did you have any coaches in particular that you really enjoyed playing for during your career?
My career, Keith's something else. He's and me and him had a good relationship. And in a world that's as crazy as it is now, me and him could joke about anything. Put to you that way. We had a very open relationship, and a sense of respect between the both of us. So it was good playing under him, and I had several good coaches. Gruden was he was a good guy to play for. I was in New York only for a couple of years. Then in reality, most of my time was there in Atlanta with Coach Smith and DQ. So I got along with everybody. I feel like, and so I mean overall, so it was pretty good. My special teams coach there in Tampa, Bisaccia, he was fun to play for.
Yeah, that's a lot of good names there. A lot of good coaches you spent time with. Then we have a question from Noah Cook, kind of in the same vein. He says hi. First of all, big fan. Wanted to ask, did you have a favorite player on special teams that you enjoyed playing with throughout your career?
Man, I'm trying to think. I mean, I played. There was a bunch of good ones. I don't know if I could just tell you one guy.
Yeah, that's a long list, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was several. There was just hard to single out one. Who would have been a really good special team, but obviously, he's a great position. Would have been Deion Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, a linebacker that could run the way he ran, and still does, and tackle. I think his rookie year they got him in there a little bit, but just obviously starting middle linebacker.
Yeah. Probably don't want to put him in on teams too much, but yeah.
But he probably could have been
a demon. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I wish there was no such thing as injuries, and then you could just play all your best guys on special teams, and those coverage units would be so nasty.
Yeah. Well, obviously Weems was a great special teams guy. He made his bones in the league, especially with us on teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Weems is another good one for sure.
Former Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right, guys.
Army bloody knife. He could do everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. You guys have. Yeah. Evan, did you have something for?
Yeah. I think a lot of people see kickers like when they miss field goals, it's just like, oh, they screwed up or whatever. But overall, like, and this doesn't have to be specific to one game. What would go through your head from the moment it was like, whether it was a game-winning field goal or just like an important field goal, just coming out to the field? Like, did you want to, leave me alone, don't talk to me sort of thing, or just kind of what was the mentality going on?
So for me, on missing a kick, was trying to think how to explain it. Well, it was tough. Mentally, It was tough. Because if you think about, if you you've been doing something for so long, and like your body, your brain is so used to success.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've been kind of conditioned to that, and like that doesn't happen, it's like your mind was like, wow, that's a different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, but you got to have kind of a short memory. But for me, every kick was an opportunity to be the very best mentally. So, like, not because I say so, but because the stats say so. I mean, like I made a whole lot more than what I missed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So when that miss does happen, it's like it's a tough feeling.
If it was like just the difference between like it being at the end of the game and then it's just okay, well we'll try better next week, as opposed to like if it was earlier in the game and then trying to bounce back, maybe 30 minutes later or whatever.
Right. I think it's all the same. Now, obviously, end of the game type stuff, just because like there's not a chance to correct if something goes wrong. Psychologically, it's going to feel different because like if you miss a kick or first quarter, and that was always big for me. Was like I wanted, obviously you want to make every one of them, but like that first one, like you really, 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 really want to make,
right?
Because it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
just keep on
Sets
chasing
the tone.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I mean, it does a miss in the first quarter, first half, or whatever. Does it hurt? Yes. Not as bad as the one at the end, just because you don't have a chance to, correct that feeling. So,
yeah.
Go back
Do
to Zerline on opening night for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And how the type of night he had. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't see it, but I guess I think didn't he kick a game winner this past week?
Yeah. Game winner from like 58.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I heard him make comments about well, it makes up for whatever happened last week. So I didn't see what happened the prior week.
I think he missed like 2 or 3, didn't he?
He missed 2 or 3 in opening night. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But he did bounce back for sure.
He did bounce back on some big ones. Yeah.
That's what they say. It's not about falling down. It's about how you get up.
Yep, exactly.
Do you ever feel bad for the opposing kicker when they miss? It's like that kicker fraternity, or was it like, all right, this is better for the team?
Well, it depends on if we win or not. There were some guys I could care less about.
Who's some opposing kickers you were friends with or you liked a lot?
Earlier on in my career, obviously, Adam would be just because we were old guys, we were in our 40s. There was a lot. I think I probably tend to gravitate more towards the older guys, just because I was older. But like Barney, towards the end of his career, I was kind of in the beginning or middle of mine. All the people I'm naming are all NFC South guys. Like John Casey with Carolina, great guy. There was a lot of good guys, and just like in every I guess aspect of this world, occupation or whatever. There's you had some young guys that were pretty full of themselves, and there were some older guys full of themselves as well. So it's just like anything else. There was a majority of them I got along with, and some of them, I care.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, Matt, I don't want to keep you too long. How are we doing on time? Do you need to wrap it up, or you got time for a few more?
I got time for a few more.
Okay. Yeah. I'll open it up to you. I know we have a vague Super Bowl question. It's not anything I think too painful. I don't know if you're game for that or not.
It's everything about that is painful, Kevin.
Yeah, it is. It is. So that's where we're gonna screen it. So it's up to you if you want to take that one or not.
Go ahead. I had a Super Bowl moment last Friday at my son's football game. We were up by, I don't remember how many points we were up by, and there was like about 5 minutes left in the game, and we threw the ball instead of running it.
Yep.
Told somebody, I've seen this ball.
I've seen this before.
So anyway, what's your Super Bowl question?
So yeah, Corey Carter asks, so do you remember what your range was in the Super Bowl? And if you get the shot to take the kick at the end of the game, do you think you nail it?
What kind of well, he
wants to know because depending on when we had to make the kick, the kick could have been exceptionally far. Depending on this hypothetical scenario. Of course, he's going to nail it, but I guess he's saying
in 2016.
Exactly. So I guess he's asking, how far would you have said like I need to kick this? What would the range have been? Yeah.
Well, kicker from Dallas. He's Money Matt, of course.
Well, obviously at that game, we always kind of set the deal right around the 57-yard mark.
Yeah.
50. You get in a game situation, you may, you got a journey, who knows? But where we were? No, it wasn't when we had to punt the possibility. But that 33-yarder first down.
that would have been a little easier, maybe.
That was a sub 50-yarder. I don't think Matt was missing any of those.
They were inside the 20, right? Like, I think it was like the 18-yard line or something like that, right?
If we wouldn't have gained another down, I think we were at, or another yard, I think we were at like a 33, 34 yards.
Yeah.
What?
It's like an extra point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's rough. But no, of course he would have nailed it. What kind of question is that? No. Thank you for your question, Corey. Yeah. I know we did have a question about your last year in Atlanta and Dan Quinn. It's kind of an angry question from Ray, who is definitely a struggling Falcons fan, but we'll sugarcoat it a little bit. But he just wants to know kind of your thoughts on your last season in Atlanta and anything you sort of want to share about the coaching or that sort of thing.
Do I like how the last year went? No, not even close to it. And it was a shame that it happened the way it did. And I don't know if I would put it on. I don't know if I would put that on Dan or not. I think may have been somebody else. How that last year went. But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me the most was I guess how maybe I was portrayed because. That 2018 year,
I
think I missed one kick, and that was 53 yards. Green Bay with a pretty good headwind to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hurt my leg on the 57.
Yeah.
So to say that I couldn't still do it, whoever may have said that, I don't know if that was fair or not.
Yeah.
Maybe not fair, but I don't know if that was justified.
Yeah.
So, but it's it's a business, and maybe there was an aspect of wanting to get younger and all that good stuff. I don't know, but in the same breath, I guess probably 98% of the time players go out not on their own will.
Yeah.
I just,
it still hurts. Yeah, it still hurts.
And I wish it had been a better. I wish it had been a better situation, but it wasn't.
On your terms. Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, Mr. Blank was great to me, to my family. The fans were good to us. So I mean, even though it didn't end the way that we wanted it to end, it was still very positive with, like I said, with Mr. Blank, the Falcons, and the fans. And so, so with that, it's you just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I can tell you
yeah.
sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
go
cut you
ahead.
off.
No,
The
go ahead.
fans definitely don't hear Matt Bryant and think that last year.
Yeah,
Like, it's
for
the
sure.
collection of good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and so and again, I want to reiterate that for the great majority of the time, it was a good situation, and like I said, I couldn't ask for a better owner than Mr. Blank, and and what he all did for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we did have one question from the chat. I can't remember who it was, but he wanted to know if you had to strap up, right now, could you hit a 50-yarder on Sunday?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything in 2 years. Other than gain weight, I haven't done anything.
Well, I still hold out hope that I'll see some Matt Bryant news, but
yeah. I mean, we might need you, to play offensive line depending on how much weight we're talking. But
right. I can't tell you. It was funny because the other day I was sitting around, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna call my agent and just see like what kind of possibilities there could be for like next year.
Mm-hmm.
But then I felt my back. I was like, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I can't. I mean, you would the stuff that I went through, my time there. I mean, like there's some things that like people are, like I can't remember what that muscle is behind your calf, but there's like a tendon back there. It popped during the pregame against Carolina. Like I felt it pop and roll up in the back of my leg. It's one of those deals to where sometimes people they take it as an Achilles injury, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You can still function with it.
Yeah,
it's just an awkward feeling to feel something pop inside you.
Yeah.
And like I had all the nerves cauterized, my lower back, because everything was just hurting so bad there towards the end. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was there was a lot of duct tape and super glue.
Yeah. Space age technology.
It worked out.
Yeah, good. Well, we definitely appreciated everything you did, and obviously put your body through the ringer as well. Just it was great. Great career here in Atlanta, and I know a lot of people think of you as the Falcons kicker, but there were a lot more years on there too before you even came to Atlanta. So, just a great storied career. Obviously, I would have been down for more years, but yeah, go ahead.
I have one more question. Did you ever go into those games against the Bucs with some revenge on your mind, just because they cut you, and it's like, all right, I want to show them that they were wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer I was looking for.
Yep, I appreciate that for sure.
That's what's crazy. I think a lot of fans forget, especially new fans, that like you were a well-known Buccaneers kicker like before Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how big of a switch that is to come to the rival, and now like if you hear Matt Bryant, it's Atlanta Falcons. But there was a minute where it was like, oh yeah, he's the Buccaneers kicker.
Yeah, and because I spent 4 years there, and obviously my last year there with the passing of my son. So it was a big that was kind of a big deal. But and I had the 62-yarder there.
Yeah.
I had several game winners, including to beat Atlanta a few times.
Yeah.
And so, like I kind of made a mark there, and I didn't ever think I would leave there, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever John got fired and Bruce got fired, and then it became kind of like we're just going to clean the house type deal. I was part of the house clean. So yeah, and then to end up in Atlanta, to be able to play them twice a year for so long was it was fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bucs had their struggles for like about 10 years after cutting.
They had a kicking curse.
There is a really funny story behind that. I don't know if I'm going to disclose it yet.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's it's funny.
Yeah.
But
that's not helping us. We just want to know.
Well, if you want, you can tell it to us off air. Off the record. Yeah, you can tell it to us off air, off the record if you want. But yeah, well, once it goes out here, all like hundreds of people watching this are going to know it. So yeah, you got to be careful with that kind of story.
It's not. It's funny.
All right.
I got one last one.
Yeah, go for it.
Just to kind of end it on. I'm sure you're aware of like the Falcons Ring of Honor. Like eventually you're going to get in that. And it's like the best Falcons players of all time. What will it mean, what would it mean to like be in that kind of prestigious group? Because there's only, I think, off the top of my head, I think there's like 11 players or something, or 12, something like that.
Well, if it does happen, obviously it would be a great honor. Anytime you get recognized, and especially by an organization like the Falcons, to have that kind of honor would be obviously it would be at the top, one of the top moments of my career.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I mean, we spent, I guess it was 11 seasons there. To have so many, there were so many kicks, so many moments that were shared. Me as individual, family, and then like with the fan base, with the organization. Like I said, going back to early on, beating New Orleans there. That was the big game. Finally getting to the second round of the playoffs when we beat Seattle. Going to the Super Bowl, and just so many moments between there that it's not only me. It's people that supported me. Like my family, my friends, the fan base. So to get recognized like that, obviously would be tremendous, and but it should be shared by all because I had a lot of support.
Yeah, because they announced, I can't remember, I think it was Rich McKay, that they're going to let the fans kind of have a decision in it, because I guess they're going to do one next year. So I'll have to start that campaign.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no bigger supporter than Evan. I'm sure you're aware.
They don't want to test me on a campaign.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. No, we know who the campaign manager will be. That's for sure. But yeah, Matt, we just really appreciate you taking the time and answering all of the fan questions and our questions. It's been great chatting with you. Hope you'll feel like you're welcome, of course, to come back on anytime you want to get a word in. And he is on Twitter, guys, at Matt_Bryant3. Matt, anything else that you're working on? Anything you want to plug of that nature?
No, other than I'm trying to get my fish tank finished in my house.
But I've seen the progress for it seems like ever.
Right.
It's massive.
I hear about it all the time from Melissa. So, but anyway, I've got nothing to plug. I live down here at the beach. Everything's pretty quiet. I just, just
Yeah.
living.
Getting that well-deserved rest now after many years in the NFL. So yeah, really appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
Just wanted real quick. Matt. Someone close to me wanted me to let you know that they said hi. They're a huge fan of you, and I told them that you were going to be on tonight. So they just wanted me to give a special shout out to you and let them know that they're still wishing you well.
All right, good. We'll tell them thank you.
No problem.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, that is Matt Bryant, everyone. Again, thanking him so much for his time. Also want to thank everyone else for tuning in tonight, including my co-host. First of all, the man responsible for bringing Matt on tonight. He is Evan Birchfield, at Evan Birchfield on Twitter, Director of Guest Personnel. Evan, anything else? Any other tricks you have up your sleeve for us?
No. I don't know if I can talk.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
So I probably ain't coming on anymore. This is it.
Yeah,
Evan's
just gonna ride off
from the show.
Yeah, right off into the sunset after that one. We do appreciate that. Thank you so much, Evan. Also with us tonight we have Eric Robinson. He is at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, anything that you're working on you'd like to plug?
There's a column that's already out. Listing 5 things that we learned from this past Week 2 matchup against the Bucs, and also be on the lookout at the end of the week towards the game preview for the road game against the Giants in Week 3.
Yep. Yeah, guys, check that out for sure. Also with us tonight, Adnan Ikic. He's at Say Which Way on the Twitters. Adnan, anything that you're working on you'd like to plug?
Series history article against the Giants, and what if we win or lose against the Giants, both coming out Saturday. Check it out.
Excellent. And guys, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin. My stuff tomorrow will be the stats preview, looking at the Falcons versus Giants stats. Obviously, it's only 2 games, so it's very volatile, those numbers. But look for some minor insights maybe into the direction of these 2 teams and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Also have matchups to watch on Saturday. And of course, we will have our post-game show Sunday immediately following Falcons versus Giants. You can look for that out here on the YouTubes as well. But for all of us, for myself, Evan, Adnan, and for Matt Bryant, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. Check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. And, of course, frequent the site, thefalcoholic.com, for all your Falcons news, analysis, and tomfoolery, as Dave Choate says on the Twitters. So, again, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. We will talk to you on Sunday. See you guys.